so many millions of people, and it's an honor. And then you do want silencing of certain voices. You look at Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. You know, the biggest threat is not global warming, where the ocean's going to rise 1/8 of an inch over the next 400 years. And you'll have more oceanfront property, right? The biggest threat is not that. The biggest threat is nuclear warming.
I mean, we could just stop right here, right? For the next 2 hours, deal with the oceanfront property. The thing about the oceanfront property is that it would all be underwater. I think he has that backwards. Call it a technical snafu, a medical issue, call it a problem with his dentures, age, I don't know, call it whatever you want. But we see what we see. And at best, Donald Trump is having a difficult time enunciating his words. It sounds like it could be any of those things. We don't know, but we're not going to ignore it. Either way, the Harris campaign summed it up best with their review of last night's Trump and Elon Musk buddy romp. Quote, Donald Trump's extremism and dangerous Project 2025 agenda is a feature, not a glitch of his campaign, which was on full display for those unlucky enough to listen during whatever that was on X.com. Trump's entire campaign is in service of people like Elon Musk and himself, self-obsessed rich guys who will sell out the middle class and who cannot run a live stream in the year 2024. It's where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. Writer, author, and journalist Kurt Anderson joins us. He was also the co-creator and host of the public radio program Studio 360. Also joining us, former RNC spokesman, host of the Bulwark podcast, Tim Miller's here. Here at the table, Democratic strategist, professor at Columbia University, MSNBC political analyst, Basil Smykel's here, host of the Fast Politics podcast, special correspondent for Vanity Fair, Molly Jong-Fast is here. The Tim Walz speech was ending as we all sat down. Is there any more of it that we have? Let's play a little bit more of that.
These guys are even attacking me for my record of service. And I just want to say, I'm proud to serve my country, and I always will be. With my dad's encouragement, a guy who served in the Army during the Korean War, I signed up for the Army National Guard 2 days after my 17th birthday. I served for the next 24 years for the same reason all my brothers and sisters in uniform do. We love this country. Then in 2005, I felt the call of duty again, this time of being service to my country in the halls of Congress. My students inspired me to run for that office, and I was proud to make it to Washington. I was a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee and a champion of our men and women in uniform. I'm going to say it again as clearly as I can. I am damn proud of my service to this country. And I firmly believe you should never denigrate another person's service record. To anyone brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
Basil, this is something that J.D. Vance is unapologetic about. As recently as his round of interviews on Sunday, he told CNN's Dana Bash he will continue to attack Tim Walz. Governor Walz also has, he's defended his record. He did it there today. But the facts, we're sort of maybe in this post-gaslighting moment here, where the fact is, moments after he was selected, I got a long email from a veteran who's appeared on this program about all of the ways he worked with and supported veterans. I mean, this feels like a fruitless line of attack, but J.D. Vance seems committed to it anyway.
Yeah, he does. It's interesting you use the term post-gaslighting because it does seem as though all of the usual tactics are not working. They're falling flat. Because, we're in this space where you have two candidates, one for Vice President Walz and Kamala Harris, who have picked up on this momentum, and the voters really wanted this change and this turn, and they feel deputized to go and defend this ticket. And what we're seeing, particularly with Donald Trump, if you have former Speaker Kevin McCarthy saying, hey, man, you got to get back on message, and we know Trump to not really be on message, but if you have Kevin McCarthy saying, we're going to lose seats because you can't stick to the script, then you're getting a sense that that campaign is flailing, that Donald Trump is flailing. On the flip side, when you listen to Tim Walz, you can hear the teacher and the coach in him. The teacher in that he's able to distill these very complex issues down to points that are relatable to the folks he's speaking to, and the coach who's motivating and getting his team out there to say, hey, hope is one thing, but you also got to have a plan.
I love that line. He said, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I need you to sing.
That's exactly right.
I love that.
Because you got to turn intent into behavior. Yes, you want to be Donald Trump, but how are we going to do that? It takes you going out, doing this kind of relational organizing, getting into your social networks, getting folks out. And that's what you're seeing, this sort of organic campaign develop. And that's largely a result of, yes, the Kamala Harris being on the top of the ticket. But if he continues to do the kind of motivating that he's been doing in that speech, it's getting more people out.
Do we have more of the Wall speech? We're trying to turn that around. Okay, as soon as we have that, we'll play that for you. The contrast, again, a campaign firing on all cylinders, and I don't know what the most generous way. I mean, Trump it's hurricane season. He's a storm. He'll gather more steam at some point and blow back over us. But that moment is not today's news cycle.
Yeah, I mean, look, in 2016, whatever Trump did worked. But it only worked in 2016, and it worked incredibly well. And I think it was he got out voters who were these low propensity voters who tended not to vote, the hidden Trump voter, and he was able to connect with those people. Since then, he's struggled, and I think he truly believes that he can get those people out and that there are enough of them to put him over the top. And I think the lesson that that Harris has really learned from Hillary Clinton in 2016 is you can't take anything for granted, and you have to get out there, and that nothing is a fait accompli. So I do think, and we see her saying that during these speeches, that we just have to get out there. They just have to campaign.
And let's not ignore what's happening on the other side. Kurt Anderson, your tweet got all of my attention this morning. You wrote this: after one nominee dropped out for seeming too elderly, I don't understand how a reporter writes and editors publish a 900-word article about the other nominee's 2-hour talk and its technical problems without mentioning its salient stylistic feature, his, Donald Trump's, continuous slurring.
Yeah, I mean, it surprised me. I mean, it was, I managed to get through half of the, whatever it was last night.
Good on you.
I did my best. First, I couldn't get in, and that frustrated me as well as pleased me that they were having this tremendous split. But I did, and I thought I'd listen, knowing you would call me and I would come on your show. So I woke up this morning, and as I do, read, the New York Times, and I was their straight main news story, almost 1,000 words, about this event, and they talk some about the things they talked about, but the writer clearly knew that wasn't very relevant, that he was saying the same things and rambling and everything, but so it was stylistic. He rambled, he meandered. It was softball questions. There were technical glitches. Yet this main thing that everybody I know and thousands of people online and elsewhere were talking about is what's with his voice? Mm-hmm. They didn't mention. All they needed is one sentence saying this was a new fact about his seeming elderliness or whatever it was, and then maybe get a comment from the campaign. And they didn't do any of it. And I mean, people say, "Well, are you surprised? It's the Times. It's the Times." And I'm not among the reflexive Times haters in that sense, as so many of my friends are. But once again, I was surprised that they would do this, and I don't get it. But I did listen, and I heard things, for instance, like Trump say to Elon Musk, speaking to labor, as Governor Walz did today. He said, the thing I love that you did, you just walked right in there and said, "Oh, you're going to go on strike? Good, I'll fire you all." That's how you, as a candidate trying to lead this new workers' party in America, really get the workers on your side by saying you're going to fire striking workers. It's amazing. So, yeah, that was staying on message in a certain sense. That wasn't calling Kamala Harris a name, but it's a message that I don't think is going to play for him.
Kurt, let me show you some of what he did say about Vice President Kamala Harris's Time magazine cover.
She is terrible. She's terrible. But she's getting a free ride. I saw a picture of her on Time Magazine today. She looks like the most beautiful actress ever to live. It was a drawing. And actually, she looked very much like our great First Lady, Melania. She didn't look like Camilla. That's right. But of course, she's a beautiful woman. So we'll leave it at that.
I don't know what the question is to ask of you. So I guess I'll tell you what I thought about. In the Robbie Kaplan depot for E. Jean Carroll, they show him a picture of E. Jean Carroll, and he says, "That's Marla. That's Marla." And his lawyer, I don't know which Alina Habba it was. Maybe it was the Alina Habba. Says, no. I mean, he didn't know who he was looking at. He didn't know who his wife was. He didn't know who E. Jean Carroll was. He's talking about a cover of Kamala Harris, who he has all sorts of different names for. And again, because of the slurring, which you point out, it's not clear if he can't remember her name or is using derogatory nicknames. And anyone who thinks they know, I don't know how they know, because he's so scattered from reality. But this is calling Vice President Kamala Harris so beautiful and saying she looks like Melania. What is this?
Well, you know, his various flattering physical descriptions of his daughter, his comparisons of this person who is he's in litigation with later, E. Jean Carroll, looks like his wife. This person he's running against President Ford looks like his current wife. It's a new wrinkle in the pathology of Donald Trump that we can, you know, we'll fill textbooks one day. It's bizarre, and he you know, as you say though, it's hard to know, is this an impairment or is this just a different version of getting old? Whatever. Again, it's another reason why it seemed to me relevant to this story. Just after a guy left the race for appearing too old, as well as scatterbrain and everything else. Well, this is relevant. No, it was bizarre. So many things, because as Elon Musk promised, it was a real conversation, and it was that. I had a feeling that it was like a conversation he would have with some guy or person at Mar-a-Lago, right? Just going off the cuff, and I think this, and I think that. Look at that picture at Time, and just the stream of consciousness with which he probably does have conversations with his sycophants at his club, and he had a sycophant who was not a member of his club, but doing the same thing that I expect the people in Palm Beach do.
So what I think is amazing also, Tim Miller, is that Elon Musk makes things that are technical in nature, and the platform that was so glitchy that Kurt and many others couldn't get in is one of the things he owns. What of the incompetence of all this?
Yeah, well, he's working on that Neuralink, which is the chip that he's put in our brains, apparently. And I really hope that the team that's working on the brain chip is not related to the team that can't figure out how to do an audio live stream. Just because it doesn't, I'm not a technical person, but it doesn't seem that hard. We're having a conversation right now. There's not like 30 minutes of static before we come on. You know, you can do it on many different platforms and figured out how to do this. So it is a little bit concerning for the brain chip folks. And, you know, and I think it's possible the technical difficulties also led to the slurring, as you said, when you were giving multiple possibilities over there. It might have been a compressed audio issue. Hard to know. But to me, like as a political